dwellers. Hello, night dwellers. How's everyone doing tonight? This crowd just keeps wanting to stretch. Right, eventually it's going to break. Hello, hello, hello. Sherry. Oh, thank you so much, Pocono Hideaway. Thank you. Hey, Shirley. Like someone said, I forget who she was, but she said, I love it, but yet it scares me to death. She's like, but I love it. Hey, Mom. Hey, Penny. I'll be right back. dress. This is from my lovely night watcher, Leslie Marie. Black, long, flowing, gorgeous. Oh shoot. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I thought about that tonight. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Oh, that's not it. Hold on. I'm doing it now. I was like, something seems wrong. There we go. Okay, it should be good. It should be good now. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Bonnie Sue. Thank you, Kingfisher. Come on in, make yourselves at home. Just doing a little technical background work here. Hello in YouTube. Let's go ahead and start sharing. I do, Judy, still more than ever now. Let's share to FYP, share to friends, 5 friends, 10 friends, 10, 20, 30, however many you got. Let's share it. Let's do it. Pennsylvania in the house. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Jess. I would love something from you. Bonnie Sue posted citrine. She has not been in my good graces the past couple of days. Hey, Amy. Oh, that sounds beautiful, Pocono. Can you direct message me after the live? Pocono Hideaway. Or I'll send a message to you, whichever. Perfect. I'm excited. Tonight's gonna be scary, y'all. Kimmy did a wonderful job on the content today. Let's give her a big shout out. Hey, Magic Moon. How are you, lovely? I hear you, Magic. I hear you. Hey, Kathy Mitchell. Well, that's what I want. I want you to come in and feel at home and feel relaxed. Hey, Tanya Jean Recovery. How are you, darling? Hey, Miss Jester T. Hello, Legendary King Darkwood. How are you? Hello, Ivy said. Welcome. I would suggest finding your chargers. You're not gonna want to miss this one. Tonight is Chiller Night. Tonight is Possession Night. Perfect, Tanya. Hey, Eclipse. That sounds lovely, Pocono. It sounds absolutely lovely. It has been forever, Eclipse. Good to see you. Hey, Alabama, let's start sharing the live. Let's get it on the FYP. Someone told me today, Julie told me that it's on the FYP. Hello, Siamese. Hello, Justine. Sounds good. Sounds good, Pocono. That's awesome. That means we're getting out there. Great at Marine's daughter. Sounds good, Justine. Thank you so much. Thank you, Eclipse. Hello, Christina K. Tonight is possession, Christina. Have you ever heard the story of Anna Eklund? We'll start bringing it down here in a minute. This show, Eclipse. I'm sorry. Best time to come up in the box would be on the third Wednesday of the month when we do Halloween. Yeah, that was a bad one. Good evening, Eddie Santiago. How are you? Hey, kiddo at heart. How are you? Keep your comments kind, or you might find yourself in a bind. I do indeed. Where are my shadows? There they are. Hello, Lulu. That store, X should have the timeline on that. Thank you. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Melanie. Hey, Bonnie Sue. Hey, Palm. Hello, Bridget, and welcome to Story Time. The very scary voice, Bonnie Sue. Hey, Skywatcher. Let's share the live, get it out to as many as we can. Friend, family, co-worker, neighbor. One minute. If this is your first time here, my name is Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author. I'm also a teller of scary stories, paranormal stories, ghost stories, true crime, serial unalivers, urban legends, cryptids, anyone, Appalachian horror, horror stories. I'm the queen of them all. Does any of that interest you? Hit that follow button and the notification bell and never miss another Twisted Tales Live. And welcome. Hello, Eric Jones. I see you. How are you? Hello, Rose. Hey, Cece. Hello, Dan. Let's prepare for story time. Thank you, Amy. Welcome, night dwellers, to another journey into the abyss. This is the night realm. I am the night queen. You are my night dwellers. Night dwellers, get close to your screens. For tonight, I pull you into a realm where faith meets horror, where innocence is devoured by unspeakable evil. Tonight, we venture into the shadows of 1928, to a small convent in Erling, Iowa. Yes, Iowa, where the very foundations of reality were shaken by forces beyond comprehension. I am your night queen, sovereign of the darkness that creeps through your dreams. And tonight I bring you the true account of Anna Eklund. A story so terrifying that even the church tried to bury it in whispered prayers and hidden documents. This is not merely a tale of possession, night dwellers. This is a descent into hell itself, where demons speak through human lips and evil wears the face of family. But know this, in my realm, evil does not go unpunished. The wicked fear me, for I am the shadow that follows their darkest deeds, the nightmare that haunts their guilty sleep. Tonight you'll witness true horror, but also the terrible justice that awaits those who prey upon innocence. So dim your lights, lock your doors, for once you enter Anna's world, you may find it difficult to leave. The darkness has many faces, and tonight you'll meet them all. Are you ready to descend into the night realm, where Anna's screams still echo through time? Let's prepare, shall we? Do it with me. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Who has lit a candle for ambiance, or to chase the shadows away? Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself up in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. Chapter 1. The Angel of Wisconsin. Who was Anna before the darkness claimed her? Let me go ahead and show you a picture so you can put a face to the name. This is the most documented, terrifying possession this is the priest who was called in to do the exorcism. Thank you. I warn you, this picture is horrific. So just prepare yourselves for what you're about to see. Normal. Not normal. I told you. Are you ready to hear the story now? In the frost-kissed farmlands of Wisconsin, in the year 1882, a child was born who would become both saint and sinner, victim and vessel. Anna Eklund entered this world under gray October skies. Her first cries piercing the autumn air like a prayer, or perhaps, as we shall see, like a warning. Picture, if you will, night dwellers, a small wooden farmhouse where lamplight flickered against gathering dusk. Hey, Mia. Inside, a woman named Catherine Eklund held her newborn daughter, studying the infant's peaceful face with the fierce love only a mother knows. She was exhausted from childbirth. Her breathing was deep. She has the eyes of an angel, she told her husband Jacob, who stood in the doorway. his weathered hands gripping a cup of strong coffee. But even then, shadows seemed to dance behind his eyes. Shadows that would one day consume them all. Anna's early years were painted in the gentle hues of rural simplicity. She was a child of profound beauty, with cornflower blue eyes that seemed to hold depths of wisdom beyond her years. Have you ever met a child like that? The neighbors in their small community would often remark how Anna seemed to glow with an inner light, how flowers bloomed brighter in her presence, how even the most temperamental farm animals grew calm under her touch. That girl can touch anything and it'll come to her. Sometimes she doesn't even have to do that. All she just has to do is look at them and they come running. Others said, that child has been kissed by angels. Old Miss Hoffman would say, watching 6-year-old Anna tend to wounded birds with the tenderness of a seasoned healer. She had a touch about her, and indeed, Anna possessed a gift, not supernatural, but deeply human. She had the ability to see goodness in everyone, to offer comfort with just the smallest smile, to make the hardest heart soften with her innocent questions about God and love. Every Sunday, Anna would don her best dress, a simple blue cotton frock with tiny pearl buttons that Catherine had sewn by candlelight, and walk the mile to St. Mary's Catholic Church. Her small hand would slip into her mother's as they crossed the threshold, and Anna would gasp in wonder at the stained glass windows that painted rainbow prayers across the warm wooden pews. One such Sunday, Anna looked up at her mother. Mama? Yes, darling. Why does God make the light so pretty? Her 6-year-old voice was carrying the weight of genuine curiosity. Catherine smiled, brushing a golden curl from beyond her daughter's forehead. Because God wants us to know how beautiful that He is, Anna. Every beautiful thing is a letter from heaven, sweetheart. The priest, Father McNamara, would often come into parishioners about the Eklund girl. That child prays with the fervor of an adult. He would say, have you watched her during Mass? She's not just going through motions. She's speaking to God, as if He were sitting right beside her. And perhaps He was, night dwellers, in the beginning. Perhaps in those early years, divine light did indeed shine through. Shone through Anna's innocent soul, illuminating a path that she was destined to walk. Though that path would lead through valleys darker than any human should endure. Anna's favorite place was the small garden behind the farmhouse, where her mother grew vegetables and wildflowers. There, Anna would sit cross-legged among the marigolds and speak aloud to God for hours, her childish voice carrying whispers and prayers and questions into the Wisconsin wind. It was on a beautiful day when she asked, God, if you made everything, did you make the scary things too? It was a summer evening. The lightning bugs glowing green. She was 7 years old, her voice barely above a whisper. Mama says you only make good things, but Papa gets so angry sometimes, and his eyes get scary and dark. God, did you make the darkness too? The question hung in the air like a prophecy, unanswered by the gentle evening breeze that rustled through the cornstalks. But somewhere in the approaching twilight, shadows began to stir. Shadows that had been watching, waiting, planning. And night dwellers know that even then, in my dominion over darkness, I was watching too. For evil may hunt innocence, but I hunt the hunters. For you see, night dwellers, Anna's very goodness, her pure connection to the divine, made her a beacon in the spiritual realm. That's not always a good thing. Light attracts light, but it also casts shadows. Did you know that? And in those shadows, ancient evil began to hunger for what it could never possess, an innocent soul. As Anna knelt in the garden that night, whispering her prayers to the darkening sky, she could not have known that across the veil of reality, discussions were taking place about her fate. In dimensions beyond human comprehension, hell itself was taking notice of the little girl who prayed among the marigolds. They didn't like her. But hell should have remembered there are older things than demons, darker powers than hell itself. There is the Night Queen who watches shadows deeper than any pit, who punishes those who dare corrupt innocence. The stage was being set for a battle that would rage across decades, fought not with swords and guns, but with prayer and possession, faith and fear, and my terrible justice waiting in the wings. Anna Eklund, the angel of Wisconsin, was about to become the prize in a war between heaven and hell. But first, night dwellers, the darkness would need to find its way inside. And some darkness will need to learn to fear what watches from the deepest shadows of all. Chapter 2, Shadows in the House. When does innocence first glimpse true evil? As Anna approached her 8th birthday, the first cracks began to appear in her perfect world. Everything had been normal. It started as evil often does, with something that should have been beautiful. The loss of innocence, masked as familial love. Catherine Eklund had begun fighting an illness that the local doctor could not name. Night dwellers, imagine watching your mother fade like morning mist, growing paler and more translucent by the day, as if something were draining the very life from her bones. Anna would sit beside her mother's bed, reading Bible stories in her clear, sweet voice, believing with all her young heart that her prayers would make Mama well. Anna was called into her mother's room. The curtains were closed. It was dark and shadowed. She lay in the bed, a former version of herself. Dark shadows beneath her eyes. Anna, my little angel, come to me. It was an October evening. It was dark and cold. Her voice was like the autumn leaves rustling in the wind. Come up here and sit by your mother. Mama, are you sick? I am. Are you gonna get better? I don't know, Anna. I want you to promise me something. Okay? Mama, I don't want you to die. I know. But I want you to promise me something. Promise me you'll always keep God close to your heart. No matter what darkness tries to creep in. Promise me, Anna. Her mother's voice held a hint of desperation. Promise me that you'll remember you're loved by heaven itself. I promise, Mama. Anna whispered back, clutching her mother's thin hand. But you're not gonna die. You're gonna get better. I've been praying every night, and God always listens to my prayers. Catherine's eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but of a terrible knowledge. She had seen the way Jacob watched their daughter when he thought no one was looking. She had noticed how his drinking had worsened, how his eyes lingered in places that they shouldn't on her little girl, how his hands would find excuses to touch Anna's shoulders, her hair, her innocent face. In truth, she was angry at God because God was taking her at the worst possible time. Sometimes, sweetheart, Catherine whispered, prayers are answered in ways that we don't understand. Sometimes God calls us home to keep us safe from things that are too terrible to name. But Catherine Eklund did not know, could not have known, that even in death, her love would become a shield around her daughter. That somewhere in the realm beyond mortality, a mother's fierce protection would call out to powers that guard the innocent. She did not know that her dying prayer would be heard by God Himself. 3 days later, Catherine Eklund died in her sleep. Anna woke that morning and found her mother cold and still, with her eyes open. her face peaceful as if she finally found rest from some unspoken burden. The 8-year-old girl shook her mother's shoulders gently, whispering, "Mama, it's time for morning prayers. Mama, why are your eyes open? Mama! Mama!" "She's dead, girl." "But her eyes are open." "She died in the middle of the night. Now come on out here." Anna looked again at her mother. She took her little fingers and tried to close her mother's eyes, but they would not close. "Are you daft? You can't close the eyes of the dead after they're dead, girl. Now I told you to get out here." At the funeral, Anna stood beside the simple wooden coffin, her small black dress making her look like a shadow of her former self. As dirt fell onto her mother's grave, along with rain, something inside Anna cracked. Not broken, but opened. Innocence. The first spark of innocence put out. Like a door that had been keeping something out suddenly swinging on rusty hinges. Do you remember that first time? When your innocence was shattered, learning something you didn't know, something happening that made you realize the world wasn't the perfect little place you imagined it being. That night, Jacob Eklund came home drunk. "Anna!" he called from the kitchen, his voice thick with whiskey and something darker. "Come here, girl. Papa needs some comfort." Anna emerged from her bedroom in her white nightgown, her golden hair braided down her back. But something was different about her father. Something she had never noticed before. His eyes held a hunger that made her stomach twist with nameless fear. Unknown to the child, or to Jacob himself, his twisted desires had already attracted attention from realms where such hungers are currency. "Come sit with Papa," Jacob slurred, patting his lap. "Your mama's gone now. It's just you and me, little girl. Just you." He rubbed her shoulders. "And me." Anna approached cautiously, her bare feet silent on the cold wooden floor. When Jacob pulled her up onto his lap, she could smell the whiskey on his breath. She could feel something wrong in the way his eyes watched her, the way his hand held her. Too tight, too possessive, too interested. "You listen to me, little girl. You're gonna be Papa's special girl now," Jacob whispered, his lips too close to her ear. "You're going to help Papa feel better when the loneliness gets bad. Won't you, Anna? Won't you be a good girl for Papa?" Something deep inside Anna's pure heart began to scream, though no sound passed her lips. This was wrong. Every instinct inherited from generations of good, decent women cried out in warning. This was not love. This was not comfort. This was something else entirely. Something that had no name in her innocent vocabulary, but felt like ice water in her veins. But night dwellers know this. In the shadows of that farmhouse kitchen, something else was stirring. For I see all wickedness, and Jacob Eklund's twisted hunger had marked him for my special attention. The predator thought he was hunting alone, not knowing that he himself was being hunted by something far more patient, far more terrifying than his small, corrupt mind could imagine. "Papa," Anna whispered, trying to squirm away from his touch. "I want to go back to bed. I want to say my prayers. I'm a little girl. I'm not a big girl like Mommy." Jacob's hands tightened, and in that moment his fate was sealed. "Prayers can wait, little girl. Papa needs you now. Don't you love your papa, Anna? Don't you want to make him happy? Or do you want to end up in sold-a-mold orphanage in town?" In that moment, night dwellers, innocence, pure innocence, met evil face to face. Anna looked into her father's eyes and saw something that wasn't entirely human anymore. A darkness that seemed to writhe and hunger behind his familiar features. Later, much later, she would learn that evil rarely announces itself with fanfare. It slithers in through cracks left by grief. Speaks in the voices of those who should protect us, and wears the faces of family. But evil had made a crucial mistake. It had revealed itself in the presence of one under my protection, one whose mother's dying prayer had reached my ears. Jacob Eklund thought he was the predator in this story. Soon, he would learn otherwise. "I want my mama," Anna whispered. And for the first time in her young life, her prayer felt like it was falling into an empty void. Jacob laughed, a sound like broken glass. "Your mama's gone, little girl. Gone where she can't protect you anymore. I used to wait, and she would sit by your door like a guard. It's just you and Papa now. Just you and Papa. And whatever else wants to come and play." That night, Anna managed to escape to her room. She barricaded the door with her small wooden chair and knelt beside her bed, praying harder than she ever had in her life. But something had changed in the darkness around her. The shadows seemed deeper, more alive, and somewhere in those shadows, something began to laugh. Not the cruel laughter of hell, but something far more terrifying to those who prey on innocence. The laughter of the Night Queen who has heard a child's prayer and marked her predators for justice. For you see, night dwellers, evil had found its invitation in Jacob's twisted desires, in Anna's newfound fear. In the absence of Catherine's protective love, darkness had discovered a doorway. But what hell didn't realize was that it had also caught the attention of something that makes demons themselves wake screaming. The hunter of innocence had caught the scent, but they had also been scented in return, and my patience, unlike theirs, is eternal. Chapter 3. Enter the witch. What happens when family becomes the enemy? Within a month of Catherine's burial, she arrived. Night dwellers, let me paint you a picture of evil wearing the mask of family. Mina, Jacob's sister. Though some whispered she might have been more than that. She came to the Eklund farmhouse like a storm cloud rolling across the Wisconsin prairie, bringing with her the stench of sulfur and secrets that should have stayed buried. Mina was a woman who seemed to exist in the spaces between normal and nightmare. She was neither young nor old, neither beautiful nor hideous, but something far more unsettling. Forgettable until you looked directly at her, and then impossible to forget. Her eyes held the color of winter storms, and when she smiled, which she did often, it never reached her eyes. But Mina had made a fatal error, night dwellers. She had come to prey upon a child already marked under my protection. And those who serve hell as faithfully as Mina had served it would soon learn that there are fates worse than damnation. Poor little Anna, Mina crooned on her first night in the house, running her fingers through the child's golden hair with possessive familiarity. Poor little motherless bird. But don't worry, darling. Aunt Mina is here now. I'm going to take such good care of you, just like you are going to take good care of your daddy. Do we understand? Anna shivered under that touch, though she couldn't say why. There was something wrong with Mina's hands. They were always cold, and they seemed to linger in places that shouldn't, tracing patterns on Anna's skin that felt like infection and more like markings. She was being marked by the witch. The townspeople of a small Wisconsin community heard stories about Anna Eklund. Whispered tales shared behind cupped hands at the general store. Muttered warnings passed between neighbors over back fences. They said she had buried 3 husbands and 4 children, each death more mysterious than the last. They said she could curdle milk with a glance, make crops wither with a whispered word. They said other things too, darker things, about midnight rituals with her naked in her garden, and creatures that came when she called. What they didn't know, night dwellers, was that every one of those stories was true. Mina had indeed unalived her own children, had poisoned her husbands with concoctions brewed in darkness, had sold her soul so completely to hell that the demons themselves considered her their sister. But her greatest sin was yet to come, and with it, her appointment with my justice. When people would ask Jacob about his sister, it's just superstition, Jacob would growl whenever they would ask him a question, and whenever Anna would come near him, don't you talk about your Aunt May. But even he seemed different when Mina was in the house. More aggressive, more hungry, more willing to let his hands wander to places that made Anna's skin crawl with wrongness. It was Mina who first spoke to Anna about the old ways, religions that existed before Christ, powers that dwelt in shadows and fed on fear. She would corner the 9-year-old girl in the kitchen while Jacob was in the fields, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Your mummy filled your head with all that Christian nonsense, Mina would say, stirring something that smelled like grave dirt into a pot on the stove. But there are older gods, Anna. Stronger gods. Gods who don't ask for your prayers. They take what they want. And when they do, little Anna, you best let them do it. Anna would clutch her small wooden cross that her mother had given her. The one her mother had given her, and shake her head. Jesus protects me. Mama said so. Mina's laughter was like the sound of an autumn leaves being ground underfoot. Does he now? Then where was Jesus when your mommy died? Where was he when your papa started looking at you, well, like a man looks at a woman? You are his woman now. One night, he's gonna open your door, and he's gonna come in. Be ready. The child's face went pale. She hadn't realized that anyone else had noticed how her father stared at her. I see everything, little Anna. Mina continued, her cold fingers tracing the outline of Anna's jaw. I see how he watches you. I see how his hand shakes when he helps you with your math. I see how he stands outside of your bedroom door at night, listening to you breathe. Little Anna, do you think your Jesus is going to stop what's coming to you? Night dwellers. Imagine being 9 years old and having your worst fears spoken aloud by someone who seemed to take pleasure in your terror. Anna began to spend more and more and more time in her mother's garden, kneeling among the dying flowers, praying with desperate intensity. God, please, she would whisper, her small hands pressed together until the knuckles turned white. Please send someone to help me. Please make them stop looking at me that way. Please make Aunt Mina go away. Please, God. Please. But instead of rescue, something else began to answer her prayers. Or rather, two things. For hell had indeed heard her cries and sent its own twisted response. But so had I, night dwellers. So had the Night Queen who watches all wickedness and mocks every predator for eventual justice. It started with whispers in the night, voices that seemed to come from inside the walls themselves. Anna would lie in her small bed, listening in conversations in languages she didn't recognize, punctuated by laughter that made her bones ache with cold. The voices spoke of hunger, of patience, of a child whose light was so bright it could be seen from the greatest, deepest pits of hell. But unknown to the demons gathering around Anna like vultures, another presence had taken notice. A presence that existed in shadows deeper than hell itself, that fed not on innocence but on the fear of those who would corrupt it. I was watching. Mina noticed the change immediately. Anna would sometimes stop mid-sentence, her blue eyes going distant, as if she were listening to something only she could hear. At church, the child began to fidget during services, and she had always sat perfectly still, claiming the wooden pews hurt her back. It hurts. I can't sit here! The smell of incense would nauseate her. Incense has never bothered you before, Anna dear, Father McNamara noticed, commenting to Jacob about Anna's apparent restlessness. Look, let's go down to the altar and pray. Pray? I don't want to pray. I want to get out of here. Perhaps, Mina suggested with false concern, the child is spending too much time in prayer. All that religious fervor, it's not natural for a girl her age of 10. She should be thinking about more earthly things. Don't you think so, Father? Father McNamara backed up. He did not like Anna's aunt, Mina. Something was very wrong with her. The suggestion hung in the air like poison gas. Jacob's eyes lit up with hunger that made Anna's stomach turn to ice. But what neither Jacob or Mina realized was that their conspiracy had been overheard by ears that existed beyond the mortal realm. Every whispered plan, every cruel intention, every moment of twisted anticipation was being recorded in letters, written in shadow and starlight. One October evening, exactly 1 year after her mother's death, Anna found Mina in the root cellar, surrounded by candles and muttering words in a language that seemed to make the shadows dance. The smell of sulfur filled the small underground space, along with something else, something that smelled like death and corruption. What are you doing, Aunt Mina? Anna asked, though every instinct screamed at her to run. Mina turned, and for just a moment, just the tiniest moment, her face seemed to flicker, as if something else were looking out through her eyes. something ancient and hungry and absolutely without any mercy. But in that same moment, Anna glimpsed something else in the shadows behind Mina. A pair of eyes that belonged to neither human nor demon. Eyes, golden eyes that held the promise of justice for those who prey upon innocence. Come closer, Anna. You and I get along better now. I'm calling in some old debts, sweetheart. Mina said, her smile stretching too wide. Your papa and I have been talking, you see. We've decided that you need guidance, a firmer hand, someone to teach you that there are consequences for being too good, too pure, too bright in a world that prefers darkness. You, my dear, are the only one that prefers light. I'm about to change that. Anna backed toward the cellar stairs, but Mina's voice followed her like smoke. You can't run from family, Anna. And you can't pray yourself out of what's already been set in motion. We made arrangements for you, little girl. Very special arrangements. That night, Anna barricaded her door and prayed until her voice was hoarse. But outside her window, shapes moved in the darkness. Shapes that had no right in her presence. That had no business existing in the mortal world. They pressed against the glass like moths drawn to flame, hungry for the light that blazed within the terrified child. But night dwellers, what Mina and Jacob and their demonic allies failed to notice was that other shapes moved in the darkness too. Shapes that belonged to the Night Queen's court. Watchers who had been dispatched to observe, to record, to prepare for the justice that would inevitably come. The invitation had been issued. The contracts had been signed in blood and whispered oaths, and somewhere in dimensions that existed parallel to Anna's reality, ancient evils were preparing for a feast that had been centuries in the making. But they had forgotten the oldest rule of all predators. Always make sure that you're not being hunted yourself. The hunters were closing in on their prey, but my hunters were closing in on them. Chapter 4. When does childhood really die? Night dwellers, there are some stories that test the very limits of what the human heart can bear to hear. What I'm about to tell you happened on a November night in 1896. Anna was 14 years old and still believed, despite everything, that God would protect the innocent. She was wrong about God, but she was not wrong about protection. For she had caught the attention of something far more vengeful than heaven, something that existed in the spaces between justice and retribution. The night began like many others in the Eklund farmhouse, with the sound of Jacob's heavy footsteps on the wooden stairs, the creak of floorboards outside Anna's bedroom door, the whispered conversations between him and Mina that seemed to slither through walls like serpents. But this night was different. This night, patience gave way to action. That night, Jacob Eklund would seal his own doom. Anna lay in her narrow bed, clutching her mother's rosary and trying to block out the sounds from the kitchen below. Mina was cooking again, though what she prepared in those pots never resembled food and always smelled like corruption. The scents they wafted up through the floorboards made Anna's stomach churn. Rotting eggs, burning hair, something sweet and cloying that reminded her of the way dead flowers smell. She's ready, Jacob, Anna heard Mina say, her voice carrying clearly through the thin walls. Look at her, Jacob. Look at how she's grown. 14 years old. I'm still thinking her precious Jesus was here. It's time she learned the truth about the world. Jacob's response was a growl that barely sounded human. I've been patient long enough. God knows I've been patient for her. But I'm done waiting, Mina. Tonight I take what's mine. Oh, brother dear, I have made that possible for you. Her door will melt like butter. Go in and do as your heart desires. But what Jacob didn't know, night dwellers, was that his words had been heard by more than just his witch of a sister. And in the shadows of that farmhouse, watchers stirred. Ancient things that had been summoned not by Mina's pitiful magic, but by her mother's dying prayer and the Night Queen's terrible interest in those who prey upon innocence. Anna pulled her quilt over her head, but she couldn't block out the sound of footsteps on the stairs. 2 sets this time, moving with predatory purpose. Her bedroom door, which she barricaded with her dresser, began to shake as someone pushed against it from the other side. Anna, Jacob's voice called softly, mockingly. Open the door, sweetheart. Papa wants to talk to you. Go away! Anna cried, her voice cracking with terror. I'm saying my prayers! Leave me alone! Mina's laughter joined Jacob's voice like a twisted harmony. Prayers won't help you now, little girl. Jacob touched the door. We made sure of it. Your God can't hear you anymore. We put something between you and heaven, something that's been waiting a very long time to meet you. Touch the door, Jacob. Jacob placed his finger on the door, and it melted like chocolate. The barricade gave way. The heavy dresser that she had in front of it sliding across the floor as if pushed by invisible hands. Jacob and Mina stood in the doorway, but there was something so wrong with their silhouettes. They seemed larger, more angular, as if shadows were extending from their bodies in directions that defied physics. Mina grabbed the back of Jacob's head and began to kiss him deeply, and Jacob returned it. And then she pushed him toward Anna's bed. But they were not the only shadows in that room, night dwellers. For I was there too, watching, recording, preparing to extract a price that would make hell itself recoil in terror for what they were doing to Anna. Please, Anna whispered, pulling the blanket up to her chin. Please don't hurt me. I'll be good, Daddy. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt you. Jacob laughed, and the sound made the window's glass rattle. Oh, Anna, I'm going to do much worse than hurt you. After I'm done with you, I'm going to give you a gift. A very special gift. A very special gift that will stay with you for the rest of your life. What happened next, night dwellers, was not just the violation of a child's body, though that horror occurred as well. What happened was the violation of her very soul, the deliberate shattering of innocence, not just for pleasure, but as a ritual offering to powers that fed on corruption. As Jacob's hands tore at Anna's nightgown, as Mina held her down with strength that seemed supernatural, they spoke words and languages that had no business existing in the mortal world. The air in the small bedroom grew thick and oppressive, filled with the stench of brimstone and something else, something that smelled like fear, made manifest. Call your God now, Anna. Call your God now. Mina hissed. Is he going to save you? Her face is inches from Anna's as the child screamed. Call him now and see if he answers. Call him and learn what I've already taught your father, that some hungers are stronger than heaven itself. His angels aren't coming for you, but my demons are. Anna did call out, not to God, but to her mother, to come save her daughter from a nightmare her life had become. And night dwellers, Catherine did answer. Through me, through the Night Queen who had heard her dying prayer and marked these predators for justice. But the laughter from the shadows that had gathered in the corners of the room was not demonic celebration. It was something far more terrifying than no one could hear. The laughter of ancient justice awakening, of retribution stirring from patient slumber. When it was over, when Jacob had taken what he'd been craving for years, when Mina had whispered the final words of whatever unholy ritual they'd been performing, Anna lay broken and bleeding on her small bed, staring at the ceiling with eyes that had aged decades in a single night. There. Jacob, dear, let's leave Anna to her rest, Mina said, smoothing her skirts as if she just finished serving tea. It's done. The door's open. The invitation issued. Now, we wait for the guests to arrive. Jacob was already walking away, his hungers temporarily sated, but his eyes promising this was only the beginning. Clean her up, he told Mina. We can't have her looking too obvious. People might ask questions about the bruises. But as they left Anna alone in her violated innocence, neither predator noticed the way the shadows in the room seemed to writhe with independent life. Neither saw the eyes they watched from impossible angles, recording every moment of their crime for future reference. Neither realized that their names had been written in a ledger that no earthly power could erase. After they left, Anna lay in darkness, feeling something fundamental inside her soul cracking like ice on a winter pond. But worse than the physical pain, worse than the emotional devastation, was the growing awareness that she was no longer alone in her own mind. Something was stirring in the depths of her consciousness. Something ancient, impatient, and utterly foreign. It had been waiting for this moment, this perfect storm of trauma and violation, to finally gain entrance to a soul that had once blazed with divine light. Welcome. A voice whispered inside her thoughts, speaking in tones like grinding tombstones. Welcome to the darkness, little Anna. We've been so very hungry for you. Anna tried to pray, but the words felt like ash in her mouth. She tried to hold her cross, but she threw it out the window because it burned. The beads burnt her fingers like brands. When she looked in the mirror above her wash basin, she saw her own face. But behind her own blue eyes, something else was looking out. Something that smiled when Anna wept. But the demons celebrating their victory had made a crucial error, night dwellers. In their hunger for Anna's soul, they had forgotten to watch the shadows for other hunters. They've forgotten that some predators prefer to stalk their prey across decades, allowing wickedness to ripen before the harvest. The possession had begun. But so had my marking of Jacob Eklund and Mina for the special justice reserved for those who destroy precious innocence. It would be 18 long years before anyone noticed. 18 years before my patients perfected their punishment. Chapter 5. Years in the wilderness. How does a soul survive, night dwellers, when hell moves in? Night dwellers, imagine living for 18 years with passengers in your soul, uninvited guests that whisper in languages older than civilization, Aramaic, Latin, that twist your thoughts into shapes that make you question your own sanity. This was Anna Eklund's existence from age 14 to 32. A walking battlefield where heaven and hell fought for territory measured in thoughts, prayers, and the fragments of a shattered heart. But through it all, unknown to Anna or her demonic tormentors, another presence watched and waited. The Night Queen's justice is not swift, it is inevitable. And every moment of Anna's suffering was being tallied against those who had destroyed her innocence. By day, Anna learned to wear the mask of normalcy. She worked in the local seamstress shop, her nimble fingers creating beautiful dresses for other women, while her own life remained trapped in perpetual winter. The townspeople of Prairie du Chien saw a quiet, unmarried woman who kept to herself. A spinster, they whispered, probably too damaged by her strange family to ever find a husband. If only they knew the truth. At night, Anna would lie in a small room she rented above the shop, listening to the voices that made their home inside her mind. They spoke in shifts, like God's changing watch, ensuring that she was never truly alone, never truly at peace. Tell us about your prayers today, Anna. The first voice would whisper, smooth as poisoned honey. Tell us how it felt when the holy water burned your fingers in mass. She's getting stronger, another would add, this one speaking in tones like grinding glass. The host nearly made her vomit blood today. Soon she won't be able to enter churches at all. Good, hissed a third, ancient, impatient as stone. Good. Let her isolation grow. Let her feel how far she's drifted from her precious God. Anna would press her hands over her ears. But the voices came from inside her skull. She would recite the Lord's Prayer, but the words would twist in her mouth, coming out as blasphemies that made her weep with shame. She tried reading her Bible, but the pages seemed to writhe with shadow, the holy words becoming accusations that burned her eyes. The worst part wasn't the voices themselves, my dark children. It was how they knew her. They knew her memories, her fears, her secret shames. They could recite verbatim every prayer she'd ever whispered, every moment of doubt she'd ever experienced, every time that she had questioned why God allowed her mother to die, why he'd permitted her father's violations on her young body, why he'd let evil wear the faces of family. He abandoned you, you know. They would whisper during the loneliest hours of night. Your precious Jesus turned his back when you needed him most. But we were there, Anna. We were there through every tear, every scream, every broken prayer. We are the only ones who truly know you. But what the demons didn't know, night dwellers, was that someone else had been there too. Someone else had witnessed every violation, every moment of corruption, every tear shed in darkness. The Night Queen keeps perfect records, and Jacob Eklund's name was written in letters that burned with cold blue fire. The physical manifestations began small, but grew more pronounced with each passing year. Anna would find herself unable to hold blessed objects for more than a few seconds. Holy water would make her skin blister. The sound of church bells would send her into seizures so violent that she'd wake up with bite marks on her tongue and bruises covering her arms. Dr. William Patterson, the town physician, examined Anna dozens of times over the years, searched for medical explanations for her increasing bizarre symptoms. Miss Eklund, he said during one visit in 1904, his face, kind face, creased with concern. Your physical health appears normal, but these episodes that you're experiencing, ma'am, they're unlike anything I've seen in my 13 years of practice. Have you considered that perhaps you might benefit speaking with someone about your family situation? Anna lay in bed, her wrists tied to the post. She laughed, But it wasn't her laughter. It was something else speaking through her vocal cords with mocking cruelty. "Oh, doctor," she said in a voice not quite her own. "If you only knew what family can do to a girl. If you only knew what gifts a father and aunt can give to someone they claim to love." Dr. Patterson stepped back, disturbed by the change in Anna's demeanor. "Miss Eklund, are you feeling all right? You look different all of a sudden." Anna blinked, and when she spoke again, it was in her normal voice, confused and frightened. "I'm sorry, doctor. I don't remember what I just said. Sometimes I feel like I'm not alone in my head. Sometimes I feel like there are others living inside of me." As the years passed, the others became more bold. They would force Anna to speak in languages that she had never learned. Fluent Latin during episodes that left her exhausted and confused. They would make her write letters in handwriting that wasn't her own, containing knowledge she shouldn't possess about people she never met. Meanwhile, night dwellers in a dimension beyond mortal perception, the night realm, justice was being prepared with meticulous care. Jacob Eklund continued his life of drunken cruelty, never knowing that each day brought him closer to a reckoning that would make his worst nightmares seem like children's lullabies. Miss Clara Hoffman, Anna's elderly landlady, began to notice the changes. She would hear Anna having conversations at night, full dialogues with multiple voices, though Anna lived completely alone. She would find strange symbols drawn in the dust on Anna's windowsills, designs that seemed to hurt her eyes to look at directly. "Child," Miss Hoffman said one morning, finding Anna collapsed on a bedroom floor, her nightgown soaked with sweat and her lips moving in silent conversation with unseen entities. "Child, I think you need help. Real help, the kind that comes with holy water and prayers." Anna looked up with eyes that seemed to contain multitudes. "I've tried praying, Miss Hoffman, but I don't think God hears me anymore. I think something is blocking the signal." But God wasn't the only one listening, night dwellers. The Night Queen heard every whispered plea, every moment of despair, and with each passing day, the debt owed by Anna's tormentors grew larger. The breaking point came on a Sunday in 1908. Anna had forced herself to attend Mass at St. Gabriel's, determined to reclaim some pieces of her former faith. She made it through the opening hymns, through the words felt like razor blades in her throat. She managed the readings, through the scriptural passages seemed to writhe and change before her eyes. But when Father McNamara raised the host during the conversation, everything went wrong. Anna began to convulse in her pew, her body arching and twisting in ways that defied human anatomy. She spoke in language that predated Christ, her voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't have been possible with human vocal cords. The stained glass windows began to rattle, and several parishioners later swore they saw shadows moving independently of any light source in front of the windows. "Blasphemer!" Anna screamed in a voice like grinding tombstones. Liar! Deceiver! Your God cannot save you what he has already abandoned, and he has abandoned me. The entire congregation fled except for Father McNamara, who approached the convulsing woman with his crucifix raised and Latin prayers on his lips. But when he touched Anna's forehead with the blessed cross, she threw him across the church with strength that belonged to no earthly creature. It was Miss Hoffman who finally contacted Father Theophilus Ressinger, the Capuchin monk known throughout Wisconsin for his work with cases of demonic possession. Her letter was simple and desperate. Father Ressinger, I believe Anna Eklund is not alone in her own body. I believe she needs help that only you can provide. Please come. Please come before it's too late for this child. The first exorcism was scheduled for June the 18th, 1908. Anna was 32 years old, and she had been sharing her soul with uninvited guests for 18 years. As Father Ressinger prepared for what he assumed would be a straightforward case of possession, he had no idea he was about to face something far older and more cunning than he'd ever encountered. The demons inside Anna Eklund had been planning this confrontation for nearly 2 decades. They were ready for war. The Night Dwellers, what none of them knew, not Anna, not the demons, not even Father Ressinger, was that the Night Queen had been planning too. And my plan spanned centuries, not mere decades. The question was Father Ressinger ready for what was truly about to unfold? Let's take an intermission, and when we come back, I will read the remaining portion of the possession of Anna Eklund. Let me know if you're enjoying it in the comments. Are you scared yet? Hello, everyone. Thank you, Juju. Oh, very good. Missing me now. Hey, Ray Ray. How are you? Oh, thank you, Tanya Jean Recovery. Thank you. I need water. A lot of water. I told you that this one was going to be very intense. You're scared? It's terrible. You know, I think, oh, I'm so glad, Elevated Goddess. I think what is so terrible about this one and what was really making it hard for me was she was innocent. She was a innocent, beautiful little girl. And that monster of a father, he just, he destroyed her. And his sister helped, yeah. That is what is just so bad. She was innocent and, you know, just horrible. Hello, Bryant. Hey, Alicia, Indiana girl. I am Alabama. Me, I am the Night Queen. I dwell in the shadows. I am ancient. I am all-knowing. Right. Oh no, AJ Cav. They opened the door. They opened the door to her being attacked and possessed. They did it. And I think I am doing well, Patrick. How are you? How's it going over there in YouTube? How is everyone doing? Hello, Amber Dowdy. Yes. I'm sorry. If Jester behaved, Jester, are you being bad? I would like to thank the following for these wonderful twisted trinkets. Gracie, Mia, Stone Mama, thank you. Curry, hey Curry. Joanne, Rayfield, thank you. Miss Gia, Wolves Whisper, thank you for the galaxy, my love. Nana Sherry, hello. Tonga Jean Recovery, XJ, Jojo, Juju BB, Debbie, hey. Jareen, love that name. Leslie Marie. I'm just calling out names that I see that are new. Judy Willis. Melanie. Christine. Kimberly. Sherry from Twin Souls Paranormal, Pamela, VGA Ray, Cece, Shirley Thirlby, thank you. Miss Jester K, a Marine's daughter, Amy, Rose, Eric Jones, thank you. Palmon, Judy Steele, Sherry Phillips, Spitfire, thank you. Pocono Hideaway, Julie, thank you all so much. Are you ready to continue? Let me know in the comments. Oh, good. I was going to ask you all about that. Are you liking the sound effects? I want this to be the most immersive storytelling experience that you can find. So I am, believe me, I am doing everything that I can to make this the most enjoyable, unforgettable experience for you all. Am I still in there? So glad to hear that. There's many different layers to telling a story. It's not just the story, it's not just the storyteller, it's the atmosphere. So it's not just the music, it's also the sound effects. So I am layering everything in perfect order. I actually worked the entire weekend. And you can ask Mr. Night Queen. I worked the entire weekend on special effects, sound effects, lighting. You would not believe it. So it is a whole experience. This isn't just me sitting down in front of a camera and talking. It is not. I wish you could see everything that I have. I have 2 laptops, 3 iPads, and a phone. No lie. I also have 2 Bluetooth speakers. One that is massive for the sound effects alone, and then one that is smaller for the music. So when you are coming into this live, you're coming into an immersive experience. Hey James, you are most welcome. It is a job. It's another full-time job for sure. Are we ready? I thought I'd give everyone a little bit of a breather there. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hello, Jenny. He just looks at me and shakes his head. He's like, wow. Chapter 6, the first battle. I want you to understand that Anna Eklund, she began her life perfectly. She was innocent, she was lovely, she was sweet, she was kind. And then her mother passed. Her armor, her strength, her rock, her protection. And when she left her, hell broke loose in that little girl's life. Chapter 6, The First Battle, 1908. Can faith triumph over 18 years of patient evil? June the 18th, 1908. Night dwellers, picture a small Wisconsin church on a summer morning. Sunlight streaming through stained glass windows like liquid gold. While in the shadows, something ancient and hungry prepared for battle. Father Theophilus Reisinger had performed exorcisms before, but nothing had prepared him for what waited inside the soul of Anna Eklund. Anna sat in the front pew, her hands folded in apparent prayer, her pale blue dress making her look like a porcelain doll. To any observer, she appeared to be nothing more than a troubled woman seeking spiritual guidance. But Father Reisinger saw beyond the surface. He noticed how her shadow fell at the wrong angle, how flowers withered when she walked past them, how the temperature dropped several degrees in her immediate vicinity. Miss Eklund, Father Reisinger said gently, approaching with his ritual book and blessed oils, are you prepared for what we must do today? Anna looked up, and for a moment her eyes were completely normal, frightened, hopeful, desperate for salvation. Father, I just want them to stop talking. I want to be alone in my own head again. I want to pray without feeling like I'm going to burst into flames. Can you do that for me, Father? Tell me about the voices, my child. Anna's expression flickered, and when she spoke again, her voice carried harmonics that made the church's wooden beams creak. Oh, we've told her about us, priest. We've told her such interesting stories. Would you like to hear them, Father Wesley? We could tell you about what her father did to her in the dark. We could tell you about what her aunt whispered while he held her down and fornicated. We could tell you about every prayer she screamed that your God has ignored. Father Reisinger stepped back, raising his crucifix. I speak to Anna Eklund, child of God, beloved of Christ. Whatever else resides within her has no authority here. The thing speaking through Anna laughed. The sound shattered 3 windows. Authority. Oh, priest, we have been in this young girl's body for 18 years. 18 years of feeding on her fears, growing stronger on her despair. We are part of her now. To remove us would be to remove pieces of her very soul. Well then, Father Reisinger replied, we'll see how strong your hold really is, demons. He began in ancient Latin prayers, in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Anna's body contorted, her spine arching backward at an impossible angle. Her eyes rolled back until only the white showed, and when she spoke, it was the voice of something that had crawled from the deepest pits of hell. You dare! The voice roared, and every candle in the church burst into flame. You dare to challenge us, we who have feasted on our innocence for decades. I dare in the name of Christ, Father Ratzinger replied, his voice steady despite the supernatural wind that had begun to howl through the church. I command you to identify yourself, unclean spirit. And his head snapped forward, and her eyes locked onto the priest with malevolent intelligence. I am Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, Prince of Demons. I am the one who answered when her father called for something to break his daughter's spirit. I am the one who has been her companion in every moment of despair. And by what right do you claim her? The demon's laughter was like breaking glass. By right of invitation. Her own father cursed her in our hands. Her bone blood called us forth to feast upon her light. Father Ratzinger continued his prayers, but Anna suddenly stood, her movements jerky and unnatural like a marionette controlled by invisible strings. You want to know about rights, priest? Let me show you what rights her family gave us. Suddenly, Anna spoke in Jacob's voice, not similar to it, but exactly his voice, as if the man himself were standing in the church. Come here, Anna. Papa needs his special girl. Papa needs you to be good and quiet while he makes himself feel better. Then Mina's voice joined in, speaking through Anna's mouth, while Jacob's words still echoed. Hold her down tighter, Jacob. She needs to learn that some hungers are more important than prayers. Father Ratzinger's face went pale as he realized he was not just facing a simple possession. He was witnessing something far more complex, a deliberate corruption orchestrated by Anna's own family, a systematic destruction of innocence that had created a gateway for multiple entities. You see, priest, Anna said in her own voice, but twisted with demonic influence. They gave us permission. They opened the door. They seasoned her soul with trauma until it was perfect for our consumption. The battle raged for 6 hours. Anna levitated 3 feet above the pew, her body contorting in ways that should have snapped her spine. She spoke in ancient Aramaic, classic Greek, languages that had been dead for millennia. She revealed secrets about parishioners that no one living should have known. But Father Ratzinger persisted, and gradually the demon's hold began to weaken. As the sun set through the shattered windows, Anna collapsed back onto the pew, her own voice returning as she gasped. Father, is it over? Are they gone from me? Father Ratzinger looked exhausted but hopeful. I believe so, my child. The entity seemed to depart. How do you feel? Anna sat up slowly, her eyes clear for the first time in years. I feel quiet, blessedly quiet. Thank you, Father. Thank you for giving me back my own mind. For the next 20 years, Anna lived in relative peace. She married a kind widower named Henry Schmidt, moved to a small farmhouse outside of town, and seemed to have found the normal life that had been stolen from her as a child. But not completely, Night Dwellers. The demons hadn't been destroyed. They had merely been relocated. Jacob began drinking himself into unconsciousness just to escape the nightmares that he began having. Mina found her dark magic turning against her, her spells twisting into curses that rebounded upon their caster. Both aged rapidly, their hair turning white, their faces gaunt with the constant terror of sleep. But in 1928, as Anna approached her 46th birthday, the demons returned with reinforcements. They had spent 20 years in exile, gathering strength, recruiting allies, preparing for a final assault that would either claim Anna's soul completely or destroy them all in the attempt. Chapter 7. 20 Years of False Peace. What grows in the darkness between battles? Night dwellers, imagine 20 years of borrowed peace. 2 decades where Anna Eklund tasted what normal life might have indeed been like, had evil not worn the faces of family. From 1908 to 1928, she lived as Anna Eklund. As Anna Schmidt, wife to Henry, a gentleman who asked no questions about her past and loved her, despite the shadows that sometimes flickered behind her eyes. But peace built on buried evil is like a house constructed over a graveyard. Eventually, the dead will make themselves known. Anna's marriage to Henry was a quiet affair, attended only by Miss Hoffman and Father Riesinger, who had become something of a guardian to the woman he'd helped save. Henry Schmidt was a widower himself, a farmer whose first wife had died in childbirth, leaving him lonely but not desperate, kind but not naive. I know you've seen darkness, Henry told Anna on their wedding night, his weathered hands gentle as he brushed tears from her cheeks. I can see it in the way you flinch when shadows move too quickly, the way you whisper prayers under your breath when you think no one's listening. But Anna, whatever happened before, it doesn't matter to me. We'll build something new together. And for a while they did. Anna learned to smile again, to laugh at Henry's gentle jokes about stubborn livestock and unpredictable weather. She tended a garden much like the one she'd shared with her mother so many years ago. Though she could never quite shake the feeling that something watched her from the shadows between the corn rows. The townspeople noticed the change in Anna Schmidt. Color returned to her cheeks, and the perpetual tension around her eyes began to soften. She attended church regularly, though she always sat in the back pew and never took communion. When asked why, she would simply say, "I'm not quite ready for that much holiness yet." But night dwellers, while Anna lived her quiet life of carefully rationed happiness, other forces were stirring. In the depths of hell, the demons who had been cast out were not sitting idle. They were planning, gathering allies, and most importantly, they were nurturing their rage. Beelzebub, the entity that had possessed Anna for 18 years, had taken the exorcism as a personal affront. To be cast out by a simple priest, to lose a prize so perfectly prepared, so exquisitely corrupted, it was humiliation beyond bearing. She was ours! Beelzebub raged in the sulphurous depths. Prepared by her own blood, seasoned with trauma, aged in despair, we invested decades in her corruption, and now some mumbling priest thinks he can simply dismiss us. But the priest of demons was not the only entity with an interest in Anna Eklund. Judas Iscariot himself, the ultimate betrayer, had been watching the case with ancient interest. A soul so pure, corrupted so completely by those who should have protected her, it reminded him of his own fall from grace. This one understands betrayal, Judas whispered in the chains of ice and guilt. She knows what it means to be sold by those who claim to love her. Yes, I think I shall enjoy breaking her again. Even Lucifer, the morning star, had taken notice. From his throne of frozen tears in the deepest circle of hell, he contemplated the woman who had managed to find peace despite everything that hell had thrown at her. Interesting, the devil mused, his voice like the sound of hope dying. 20 years of happiness after such exquisite suffering. She's probably forgotten how to scream properly. It would be educational to remind her. Jacob had never married after Anna left home. Who would want a man who reeked of guilt and whiskey? Whose hands shook not from age, but from the nightmares that visited him every time he closed his eyes. He lived alone in the old farmhouse, which had fallen into disrepair, much like its owner. Every night Jacob dreamed of Anna as a child, but in his dreams, she wasn't the terrified victim that he remembered. She was something else, something that smiled with too many teeth and spoke in voices that made his soul shrivel. Hello, Papa, dreamed Anna would whisper, her 14-year-old face twisted with malevolent joy. Remember me? Remember what you did in the dark? Remember what you did. Remember how you broke me piece by piece until something else could crawl inside. Jacob would wake screaming, clawing at the air, begging forgiveness from shadows that never answered. The local doctor prescribed laudanum for his nerves, but no earthly medicine could quiet the voices that had taken up residence in his guilty mind. And Mina fared no better. Her dark magic had turned against her with compound interest, every curse she'd ever cast returning to roost in her withered body. Oh, she aged rapidly, her hair turning white as bone, her skin taking on the texture of old parchment. It was terrifying to look at. She spent her days muttering to spirits that no longer answered her calls, brewing potions that had lost their power. It's not fair, Mina would whisper to her empty cottage, surrounded by herbs that had rotted in their jars and candles that refused to stay lit. We did what we were supposed to do. We opened the door. We gave you the perfect vessel. Why are you punishing me? But the answer, night dwellers, was simple. Hell had no loyalty to its servants, only appetite. Jacob and Mina had served their purpose, and now they were being discarded like broken tools. Meanwhile, in her peaceful farmhouse, Anna Smith began to notice small changes. It started with the dreams. Not nightmares, exactly, but dreams that felt too real, too vivid. She would wake with the taste of sulfur in her mouth and words and languages she didn't recognize on her lips. Henry began to notice it too. His wife would sometimes stop mid-conversation, her eyes going distant as if she were listening to something only she could hear. She began avoiding the church altogether, claiming the incense gave her headaches. Anna, Henry said one evening in 1927, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of crimson, "Are you feeling all right, my dear? You seem troubled lately." Anna forced a smile, but her hands trembled as she folded them in her lap. "Just tired, Henry. Gardening season always takes a lot out of me." But that night, after Henry had fallen asleep, Anna crept out to the garden where she found so much peace over the years. She knelt among the marigolds, just as she had a child in her mother's own garden, and whispered prayers into the gathering darkness. "Please," she breathed, her voice barely audible above the night wind. "Please don't let them come back. I've been good. I've been faithful. I've tried to forgive even those who have hurt me. Please don't let the darkness find me again." But night dwellers, inhale. The final preparations were being made. Beelzebub, Judas, and Lucifer himself had formed an unholy alliance, pooling their power for one massive assault on Anna's soul. They would not make the mistake of underestimating earthly faith again. This time, they would bring overwhelming force. Chapter 8, The Return of Darkness, 1928. How do demons prepare for total war? August 1928. Night dwellers. Picture the Schmidt farmhouse on a morning when the very air seemed to thicken with approaching doom. Anna woke that day feeling as if she were drowning in molasses, every breath requiring tremendous effort, every step feeling like she was walking through invisible quicksand. "Henry," she whispered, shaking her husband's shoulder, "something's wrong with me. Something's coming." Henry Schmidt opened his eyes to find his wife's face pale as moonlight, her blue eyes wide with the terror he hadn't seen since their early days of marriage. "What is it, Anna? What's wrong?" "I can feel them," Anna whispered, her voice barely audible. "After 20 years, I can feel them at the edges of my mind again. They're coming back, Henry. The voices are coming back." But what Anna didn't know, night dwellers, was that this wasn't simply a return of her old demons. This was an invasion planned in the deepest pits of hell, orchestrated by powers that had spent 2 decades nursing their wounded pride and gathering reinforcements. The attack begins subtly, as it always does. Anna found herself unable to hold Henry's hand during their morning prayers. Her skin would burn whenever they touched any type of crucifix during any religious observance. The blessed crucifix above their bed began to smoke when she looked at it directly. The holy water Henry had brought from church evaporated from its font overnight. "Maybe we should contact Father Rasinger," Henry suggested after finding Anna collapsed in the kitchen, muttering in what sounded like Latin but felt wrong somehow, Latin spoken backward, twisted into blasphemy. "No," Anna gasped, her own voice returning as the foreign words faded. Not yet. I can fight this. I can fight this. Are you sure, Anna? I fought them before and I can fight them again, Henry. Just remember, I love you. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. But night dwellers, Anna didn't understand what she was truly facing this time. This wasn't the same possession that had plagued her youth. This was a coordinated assault by entities that had learned from their previous defeat. You see, Beelzebub, he had studied Father Riesinger's techniques to perfection, analyzing every prayer, every ritual gesture, every word of Latin that had driven him from Anna's soul. Oh, he came prepared this time, with countermeasures, with ways to twist sacred words into their opposites. Judas brought with him the expertise of ultimate betrayal, the knowledge of how to turn love into weapon, trust into trap. He whispered to Anna in Henry's voice, telling her that her husband did not love her, never had, and that he was planning to have her committed to an asylum, that her peace had been a lie, that everyone who claimed to love her was really planning to just abandon her. He's just like your father. Judas whispered in her mind during quiet moments when Henry thought she was resting. Look how he watches you. Look how he pretends to care while planning to get rid of you. They're all abandoning you. In the end, Anna, they're all abandoning you. They all betray you. Lucifer himself brought the crushing weight of cosmic despair. The knowledge that in the vast universe, human suffering was meaningless. That God either didn't exist or didn't care. That faith was just a comforting lie told by the weak to make existence bearable. Look around you. The devil's voice purred like poisoned honey. 20 years of peace. And for what? You're still alone with your memories. Still flinch when shadows move. You still taste blood when you try to pray. What kind of God allows a child to suffer as you suffered? What kind of salvation leaves such scars? The physical manifestations began in earnest during the first week of August. Anna would levitate in her sleep, her body rising 3 feet above the bed, while she spoke in languages that predated human civilization. Henry would wake to find his wife suspended in the air, her mouth moving in conversations with entities that he couldn't see. Her eyes rolled back until only the white showed. She began to know things that she shouldn't know. Intimate details about neighbors' private sins. Secrets that had been buried for decades. Prophecies about deaths and disasters that hadn't happened yet, but would with terrifying accuracy. Miss Clarence, who lived on the neighboring farm, came to visit one afternoon and found Anna sitting in her garden, staring at nothing. "Hello, dear," Miss Clarence called out cheerfully. "How are you feeling today?" Anna turned, and Miss Clarence stepped back when what she saw in those familiar blue eyes, something ancient and malevolent looking out from behind Anna's features. "Hello, Margaret," Anna said, though she'd never known the woman's first name. Tell me, how is your son, Timothy? The one you drowned in the creek when he was 3. The one you tell everyone died of fever. He says hello. He says he forgives you. But he's so very cold down there in the mud. Miss Clarence fled, sobbing, while Anna watched with eyes that weren't entirely her own anymore. Henry contacted Father Riesinger that same evening. Father, I need your help. Anna isn't herself. She's saying things, knowing things, doing things that... Henry's voice broke. I think they've come back, Father. The demons you cast out 20 years ago, I think they've come back. And this time, I think they're stronger. Father Riesinger, now in his 60s, but still vigorous in his faith, listened with growing concern. Has she been violent? Has she harmed herself or others? Not yet, Henry replied. But Father, yesterday I found her in the barn. She was suspended 10 feet in the air, surrounded by every animal we own. They were all dead, Father. Every cow, every pig, every chicken dead, but still standing, their eyes rolled back, moving in perfect unison like they were being controlled. And Anna was conducting them like an orchestra, making them dance to music that only she could hear. Father Riesinger was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of terrible knowledge. Mr. Schmidt, what you're describing isn't a simple reoccurrence of possession. This sounds like something far more dangerous. I'll need to contact the church authorities, arrange for a proper exorcism. This may require more than one priest. On the night before Anna was to be taken to Erling, Iowa for her exorcism, 2 figures sat in their respective homes, unaware that their long overdue appointment with justice had finally arrived. Jacob Eklund, now 78 and riddled with guilt and whiskey, sat in his decaying farmhouse. Staring at a bottle of poison he bought from the apothecary. He'd been contemplating unaliving himself for months, unable to bear the nightly visitations from his daughter's childhood ghost. Mina, aged beyond her years by the backfire of her own dark magic, lay in her bed surrounded by the remnants of spells that no longer worked, candles that refused to stay lit, and the growing certainty that something was coming for her. Something that had been patient, but was patient no longer. Chapter 9, The Final Exorcism, The Battle for Eternity. What happens when heaven and hell converge over one soul? Erling, Iowa, August the 17th, 1928. Night dwellers. Picture a small convent where the very stones seem to hold their breath, where shadows moved independently of any light source, where the air itself felt thick with the weight of approaching apocalypse. Anna Schmidt, née Eklund, arrived at the Franciscan convent like a woman walking to her own execution. Father Riesinger had arranged everything with military precision, a secluded location, trusted allies, and enough holy relics to outfit a small cathedral. But as Anna stepped from the automobile that had brought her from the train station, every flower in the convent garden withered simultaneously. whispered Sister Mary Magdalene, crossing herself as she watched Anna approach. What have we invited into our sanctuary? Father Riesinger, now joined by Father Joseph Steiger and several other priests, had prepared for what he believed would be a difficult but manageable exorcism. He had his ritual books, his blessed oils, his crucifix worn smooth by decades of faithful service. What he didn't have was any understanding of the forces that were about to converge on the small Iowa convent. The first sign that this would be unlike any previous exorcism came before the ritual ever began. As Anna was led to the room that had been prepared for the ceremony, every religious artifact in the building began to smoke. Crucifixes turned black. Holy water boiled in its fonts. The altar candles burst into flames so intense they couldn't be extinguished by any earthly means. Anna, Father Riesinger said gently, approaching the woman who sat calmly in the center of the room, despite the supernatural chaos surrounding her. Are you ready to begin? Anna looked up with eyes that held depths no human gaze should contain. When she spoke, it was with multiple voices speaking in harmony, some beautiful as choirs of angels, others ugly as the screams of the damned. Oh yes, we're ready, priest. We've been preparing for this moment for 20 years, but we're not the only ones who've been preparing. The temperature in the room dropped 30 degrees in seconds. Frost began forming on the windows despite the August heat. And from shadows that seemed to exist in possible angles, something spoke with a voice like winter wind through cemetery gates. Who are you? Who are you that speaks to me now? Suddenly Anna's body convulsed, and when she spoke again, it was in the voice of Beelzebub himself. You! The demon roared, and every window in the convent shattered simultaneously. We should have known that you were involved. We should have sensed your interference, Father Schmidt. You should have. But arrogance was always hell's weakness. You were so focused on your prey, you never thought to check on who would be conducting this exorcism. The exorcism that followed was unlike anything recorded in church history. It wasn't simply a battle between faith and evil. It was a three-way war between heaven and hell, and something older than both. Father Riesinger began his prayers, but before the first Latin word left his lips, Anna rose 20 feet into the air. Can you imagine? Her body rotating slowly as she spoke in the voices of her tormentors. I am Beelzebub, she roared in a voice like grinding stone. I am the one who answered when her father called. I am the one who feasted on her innocence for 18 years. I am Judas. Anna continued in a different voice, smoother but infinitely more corrupt. I am betrayal made manifest. And I have come to teach this child the final lesson, that even God abandons those he claims to love. And Anna whispered in a voice that made the very rare weep, am Lucifer, the morning star, the light bringer who fell from grace. I have come to show her that rebellion against God is not the only honest response to a universe built on suffering. But as the three great demons declared themselves, Something else stood in the rooms. Impossible shadows. Prayer. The priest. Administering the rites. Holy water. Impossible! Beelzebub screamed as shadowy hands began dragging something fundamental out of Anna's body. You have no authority over us! We are the princes of hell! The room filled with sounds that shouldn't exist. The screams of demons being torn from their host. The weeping of shadows, the grinding noise of spiral machinery operating beyond human perception. Father Riesinger found himself swept up in forces beyond his understanding. His prayers continued, but they were being amplified by something that made his voice carry harmonics of judgment and retribution. And his body contorted in ways that defied physics as the three great demons fought desperately to maintain their hold. What are you doing to us? Judas wailed as shadowy tendrils wrapped around his essence like chains of frozen starlight. The climax came at midnight on August the 23rd. For 6 days the battle had raged without pause. Anna's body had swollen to impossible proportions, then contracted to skeletal thinness. She had spoken prophecies in dead languages, revealed secrets that made hardened priests weep, and demonstrated powers that bent ease readily itself. But on the 6th night, as Father Ressinger collapsed from exhaustion and the other priests huddled in prayer, suddenly, Anna, who was tied to a chair, the ties became loose. You think you can get rid of us, but you can't. We are the princes of hell. And then Anna collapsed on the cold stone floor, freed from the demonic presences that had tormented her for so long. She collapsed, exhausted. For the first time in decades, her face looked truly peaceful. The shadows in the room began to fade, and warmth returned to the air. Father Ressinger approached it cautiously. Anna, can you hear me? Anna opened her eyes, clear blue eyes without a trace of supernatural influence. Father, is it over? Are they truly gone? They're gone, my child. They're gone forever. Anna sat up slowly, and for the first time since childhood, she smiled without reservation. I could hear my own thoughts. Just my own thoughts. And they're quiet. Like when I was a little girl. Blessedly quiet. As the supernatural darkness lifted from the convent, the nuns emerged from their hiding places to find Anna Eklund, truly Anna, for the first time in over 40 decades. Sitting peacefully in the morning sunlight, her hands folded in prayer, her face radiant with the kind of peace that can only come after justice has been served. Night dwellers, as we close this tale of innocence violated and justice served, remember this: evil may wear the faces of family. Demons may speak with familiar voices, and corruption may masquerade as love. But in the deepest shadows, older things than hell itself are watching. Anna Eklund's story reminds us that survival is the first act of revenge, that healing is the ultimate defiance of evil, and that sometimes, just sometimes, the universe conspires to balance scales that seem forever tilted toward darkness. From shadows deeper than hell's own pit, I watch the wicked and make note of it. They think their crimes go unseen, unfelt, but every evil deed I've dwelt. Jacob Eklund thought his lust was strong. Mina believed her magic would last long. The demons feasted on incense pure, but my justice is patient, my vengeance sure. For 44 years I stalked my prey, through nightmare visions and guilt's decay. They thought their punishment was fear and dread, not knowing far worse awaited when dead. I am the shadow that haunts the cruel, the nightmare that makes evil drool. Those who harm children, who break the weak, my terrible justice they will seek. Anna was marked by family's sin, but I was watching from deep within. Her suffering called my ancient name, and wickedness learned eternal shame. So sleep well, you innocent soul, but evildoers hear my call. Every crime against the pure and free, and night dwellers in the darkest corridors of your nightmares. You belong to me. You do. Never forget that. Pleasant dreams, night dwellers.